Selamat siang, perkenalkan nama saya Deatri Arumsari Agung. Saya adalah dosen dari International Business Management Program Studi S1 Manajemen, Fakultas Bisnis, Universitas Katolik Widya Mandala, Surabaya. Saat ini saya akan mempresentasikan salah satu mata kuliah yang saya ampu, yaitu mata kuliah Cost Accounting. Mata kuliah ini adalah sebuah mata kuliah yang membahas desain dan implementasi sistem akuntansi biaya yang disesuaikan untuk perusahaan operasional, khususnya perusahaan manufaktur. Fokus utama terletak pada proses pencatatan, pengukuran, dan analisis data biaya agar dapat mendukung pengambilan keputusan manajerial dalam aktivitas produksi dan juga dalam pelaporan keuangan. Tujuan utama dari mata kuliah ini adalah agar mahasiswa mampu menjelaskan konsep dasar biaya, termasuk klasifikasi biaya, metode pencatatan, serta teknik perhitungan biaya produksi. Selain itu, tujuan dari mata kuliah ini adalah untuk mengajarkan mahasiswa untuk dapat menghitung biaya produksi, harga pokok penjualan atau HPP, dan menyusun laporan laba rugi sederhana. Di samping itu, mahasiswa juga akan diajarkan melakukan analisis varians dalam konteks perusahaan manufaktur sebagai dasar informasi biaya yang mendukung proses pengambilan keputusan oleh manajemen. Sedangkan jika dilihat dalam level yang lebih detail, ada 5 CPMK pada mata kuliah terkait, yaitu yang pertama, mahasiswa mampu menghitung biaya produksi dan dengan mengaplikasikan job order dan proses costing system pada perusahaan manufaktur. CPMK yang kedua yaitu mahasiswa mampu memilih metode dan melakukan analisis yang sesuai dalam perhitungan profit pada perusahaan manufaktur. Yang ketiga, mahasiswa mampu merancang short-term managerial decisions berdasarkan informasi biaya produksi pada perusahaan manufaktur. Yang keempat, mahasiswa mampu membuat anggaran serta menghitung dan menganalisis varians biaya produksi pada perusahaan manufaktur. Dan yang kelima, mahasiswa mampu mengaitkan perhitungan biaya produksi dengan penentuan harga pada perusahaan manufaktur. Mata kuliah ini dengan CPMK yang perlu saja dijelaskan akan sangat terkait dengan capaian pembelajaran lulusan, yaitu yang pertama, mahasiswa mampu melaksanakan fungsi organisasi, baik pemasaran, operasi, sumber daya manusia, keuangan, dan strategi pada level operasional di berbagai tipe organisasi dalam lingkup nasional maupun internasional. CPL yang berikutnya yaitu mahasiswa mampu mengidentifikasi masalah manajerial dan fungsi organisasi serta mengambil tindakan solutif yang tepat berdasarkan alternatif yang dikembangkan dengan menggunakan teknologi digital, yaitu keterampilan khusus. Berikutnya, ini adalah mahasiswa mampu menyusun rencana strategis dan menjabarkan dalam rencana operasional pada berbagai tipe organisasi. Dan berikutnya, mahasiswa mampu mendesain model bisnis usaha kecil dan menengah yang adaptif pada perubahan di berbagai tipe organisasi sesuai tata kelola manajemen yang baik, yang berbasis teknologi digital. Berikutnya saya akan menjelaskan sub CPMK yang akan disampaikan kepada mahasiswa dalam 14 sesi pertemuan. Yang pertama, sub CPMK 1 adalah mahasiswa mampu mengaplikasikan metode job order costing pada perhitungan biaya produksi. Indikator kinerja pada sesi pertama dan kedua pada sub CPMK 1 ini adalah akurasi dalam menghitung biaya produksi dengan menggunakan job order costing system. Metode assessment untuk sub CPMK yang pertama ini adalah teks objektif sebesar 20%, soal akhir topik atau tugas sebesar 30%, dan ujian tengah semester sebesar 50%. Sub CPMK yang kedua adalah mahasiswa mampu mengaplikasikan metode proses costing pada perhitungan biaya produksi. Metode indikator kinerja pada sub CPMK yang kedua ini adalah akurasi dalam menghitung biaya produksi dengan menggunakan proses costing system. Metode assessment yang dilakukan adalah dengan tes objektif sebesar 20%, soal akhir topik atau tugas sebesar 30%, dan juga ujian tengah semester sebesar 50%. Sub CPMK yang ketiga, mahasiswa mampu membedakan metode variable and assumption costing pada perhitungan biaya produksi dan pelaporan laba rugi. Indikator kinerja pada sub CPMK yang ketiga ini adalah ketepatan dalam membedakan alasan dan dampak penggunaan variable dan absorption costing. Yang kedua, akurasi dalam perhitungan biaya produksi dan pelaporan laba rugi. Berikutnya, sub CPMK yang keempat, mahasiswa mampu mengaplikasikan cost volume profit analysis dalam penentuan profit perusahaan. Dengan indikator kinerja, akurasi dalam menghitung break-even point dan target operating profit. Setelah 7 sesi yang pertama, mahasiswa akan mengikuti ujian tengah semester. Kemudian dilanjutkan dengan sesi yang ke-8, yaitu sub CPMK yang kelima. di mana mahasiswa mampu menyimpulkan pengambilan keputusan berdasarkan activity-based costing pada perusahaan manufaktur. Indikator kinerja pada sub CPMK kelima ini adalah akurasi dalam menghitung biaya produksi menggunakan metode activity-based costing. Pada sub CPMK yang keenam, mahasiswa mampu menyimpulkan pengambilan keputusan berdasarkan informasi biaya jangka pendek pada perusahaan manufaktur. Indikator kinerja yang digunakan adalah ketepatan dalam mengambil keputusan terkait operasional produksi berdasarkan informasi biaya. Pada sub CPMK yang ketujuh, mahasiswa mampu mengaplikasikan konsep budgeting and variance analysis pada perusahaan manufaktur. Indikator kinerja yang digunakan adalah akurasi dalam menghitung anggaran dan menganalisis varians biaya produksi. Pada sub CPMK yang terakhir, yaitu pada sesi ke-13 dan 14, yaitu mahasiswa mampu menganalisis perhitungan pricing dan target costing pada perusahaan manufaktur. Indikator kinerja yang digunakan ada dua, yaitu yang pertama akurasi dalam mengaplikasikan metode-metode pricing dan target costing, serta yang kedua ketepatan dalam menentukan metode yang sesuai bagi perusahaan. Metode asesmen yang digunakan adalah tes objektif 20%, tugas 30%, dan ujian akhir semester 50%. Perkuliahan ini dilakukan full secara luring dengan metode pembelajaran, ceramah, atau kuliah. Namun di dalam pengajarannya, mahasiswa akan melakukan aktivitas di kelas seperti mengerjakan tugas, diskusi dalam kelompok kecil, dan juga sesi tanya jawab. Textbook yang digunakan dalam mata kuliah Cost Accounting adalah dari Bimani et al. Management and Cost Accounting, serta textbook yang kedua adalah Mowen et al. Cornerstone of Managerial Accounting. Perlu saya tambahkan bahwa mata kuliah Cost Accounting ini adalah mata kuliah wajib bagi mahasiswa semester 5 dengan bobot 3 SKS. Prasyarat dari mata kuliah ini adalah mata kuliah Principles of Accounting yang harus diselesaikan oleh mahasiswa di semester ketiga. Perlu saya tambahkan juga, pada mata kuliah ini kami menggunakan LMS, yaitu @link yang bisa dilihat pada tampilan berikut. Pada laman LMS tersebut, mahasiswa dapat mengakses materi, mahasiswa dapat mengumpulkan tugas, dan juga mahasiswa dapat melihat nilai serta evaluasi diberikan oleh dosen pengampu. Setelah ini akan saya perlihatkan proses pengajaran di kelas. Oleh karena mata kuliah ini adalah mata kuliah diajarkan pada mahasiswa International Business Program atau IBM, maka keseluruhan pengajaran diajarkan dalam bahasa Inggris, begitu juga dengan sesi tanya jawab dan juga evaluasi yang dilakukan di kelas. Students, welcome to the 5th session of Cost Accounting class. Today we will study the topic of costing, managerial control tool, from chapter 10 from your textbook, Mowen et al. Remember, we have 2 different textbooks. So today we will focus on studying from this textbook from Mowen et al. And as we can see here from the course outline, the objective of studying this topic, especially this chapter, is for students to be able to apply the concept of budgeting and variance analysis towards companies, especially the manufacturing companies. So at the end of the day, hopefully that you can get a grasp of the knowledge and also specific skills of computing, budgeting and variance analysis using specific methods. Okay. And we can also start this class by understanding the objectives of studying this particular chapter. As you can see, there are 5 to 6 objectives that hopefully at the end of the day we can be able to learn. The first one is for you to be able to explain how unit standards are set and why standard cost systems are adopted. Second one is to explain the purpose of standard cost C. And the third one will be to describe the basic concepts underlying variance analysis and explain when variances should be investigated. The fourth one will be for you to be able to compute both material variance and also the labor variance. So there will be 3 different variances, but today we will study about 2 different types of variance, material and labor, which is quite similar one to the other. Okay. As usual, I have posted this slide on the LMS. Yeah, so you can revisit this topic later after the class. Okay. Standard costing and variance analysis. Okay. First of all, we need to understand. We have to really have the basic understanding of how standards are developed. Okay. Standards in this case, it talks about the budget cost. It talks about the standard cost used in companies. So usually there are 3 different sources or potential sources of quantitative standards. Okay, it's either from the historical experience, the engineering studies, or the input from operating research. Okay, let's go through one by one. Historical experience means that we can use the data from the beginning of the company up until last year, for example. And then we can see the big picture, and then we can use the data, the numbers as our standard cost. That's one source. But then, of course, it will have the pros and cons. Okay? So let's consider the second option. The second option will be engineering studies. Engineering studies can identify efficient approaches and can provide rigorous guidelines. So it's, in short, we can say that engineering studies means, for example, if we're talking about the capacity of a machine, so the engineering studies will be the provider or the manufacturer of the machine would say that the maximum capacity of this machine is 10,000 units per year, for example. That's the engineering studies because they are the manufacturer of the machines. So, okay, we put that into consideration. However, engineering standards often are too rigorous. Okay, so once again, each of these options have its own pros and cons. The third option would be input from operating personnel. This is quite critical. This is quite important. Since operating personnel are accountable for meeting standards, they should have significant input in setting standards. In short, we can see this as a person, for example, an operator in the manufacturing facilities that is handling a particular machine, for example. He's been working there for 10 to 15 years. So he has all the experience that you need to be able to operate the machine. So even though the manufacturer said that the maximum capacity is 10,000 units per year, but he as the operator, he knows exactly what's happening on the field. For example, every 1 or 2 days it needs cleaning, it needs maintenance, preventive maintenance, and so on and so forth. Hence, the input from operating personnel is also very important for us to decide this standard. Okay, so standards are generally classified as either ideal or currently attainable. This is it's pure theory, but this is something that we need to understand. But it's quite logical. So when we talk about standards, it's quite ideal. Sometimes it demands maximum efficiency. Sometimes it's difficult to achieve, but it's ideal. On the other hand, we can go for the currently attainable standards. So this one is something that can be achieved under efficient operating conditions. Okay, so we have to make sure that we do our best to make the situation ideal. We have to be sure to for the operators to have required training so that they are able to operate the machines efficiently. Those are factors that within our control. It's something that we have to learn about. Okay, so in the type of currently attainable standards, allowance is made for normal breakdowns. So instead of having it all ideal and perfect, we have to consider the normal breakdowns and also interruptions, also less than perfect skills. We cannot expect all our personnel to be perfect. Okay, and so on. So these standards are demanding still, but achievable. So what do you think from these two types? Which one that you think is more beneficial both for the company and for the workers? Fine? Yes? Raise your hand. Okay, just say it like a choir. So which one? Currently attainable standards. Yeah, it's quite straightforward actually. So keep in mind when you become a manager, try to go for the second type of standard, something that is still demanding, but it's achievable. Alright. So when we talk about standard, it's within the basic concept of planning and control. It's something that we can relate actually on a daily basis, right? Even though in our daily activities, managing our study, managing our freelance work or our small businesses, planning and control takes place. It matters, right? So, what does it say in this slide? Standard costing systems enhance planning and control and improve performance measurement. Comparing actual cost with budget cost identifies variance. So this is where the term variance comes from. It's actually, it's like differences between the actual and the standard. or in other contexts, sometimes the standard is also called budget. So the actual versus the budget, the difference is the variance. So that's the terminology, the correct terminology when we're talking about differences of costs in companies. Variance. Okay, so the difference between the actual and the cost. Okay. Overall, variances can be further broken down into. This is something that will be discussed further in this chapter. So when we talk about variance of operational cost or manufacturing cost, it can be broken down into price variance and usage or efficiency variance. So it's either those two. Is there any marker? No, we don't have any marker. Okay, that's fine. So there are two types of variances: the price and the usage. The usage can also be called efficiency variance. Okay, we'll have a look further on the formula. So this additional information is very helpful for managers. Why? Because in principle, the use of efficiency variances enhances operational control, and the system provides an improved measure of the measure of efficiency. So variances, the data of variances is very insightful for us to make decisions. Whether our operations is efficient enough, whether our output is as targeted, whether our target has been achieved during the year, and so on and so forth. So variance is very insightful for decision-making process within the I'm gonna need you to try working on this. Working on this. One moment. Working on this questions. Open questions 10, 28. Yes. Oops. Okay. Yeah. So open this question, exercise 1028 and 1029 about the differences of question papers, and try to break down the materials variance test before we move on to the labor variance. Okay, I give you 10 minutes to work on these questions, these exercises, and please take turns to share your answers in front of the class. 10 minutes, thank you. Okay, are you ready? Please share your answers at the front. Thank you. Please do your homework from the cornerstone 10.5 and also 10.6 about total variance for labor and calculating labor variance. So try to do independent study about labor variance, which is quite similar concept to the one that we have studied today, and work on the exercises. So in the next session, we can, as usual, you can share your answers and then we can have a little discussion about the labor variance. Okay? Before we end the session, do we have any question? Yes, Fred?
Can you give me an example about price variance and usage?
Okay, yes. So, the example of price variance. So, price variance is directly related to the price of a particular product. For example, in a coffee factory, we are buying green coffee from the farmer. For example, we are buying directly from the farmer for the coffee bean, the green coffee. Okay, and then using previous historical data, usually per kilo is, let's say, 60,000 per kilo, and that will become the standard cost for the ongoing year. Okay, but then something is happening with the weather, for example, so the farmers are not producing as much as they expected, hence the price will become higher. Okay, that will produce a significant price variance, which is negative for the company. Then sometimes price variance is not under our control. Okay, for example, due to the weather situation, due to the natural disaster, for example, it's something that cannot be controlled. So sometimes we just have to adjust the negative price variance to our cost of goods sold. It's something that we cannot ask someone to hold responsible. I hope that's clear. Another example for the usage variance is quite different. So in usage variances, for example, when an operator are using a particular machine to do some premix stage on the coffee mix product. So he has to mix the flavor with the creamer, for example, and other different raw materials. Okay. However, because of his, lack of training, for example, instead of doing a particular step to make sure the premix will go smooth, he did something that is quite ineffective, hence resulting in a bad quality of the premix. So that you have to redo the premix or have to do it longer than targeted. That's a usage variance. It's something that it's definitely under the control of the operator, which is under the supervision of the production manager. Hence, when the usage variance is negative and significant, we have to ensure that the production manager is also responsible. Okay, any questions? No? Alright. So make sure that you work on the homework. As you can read from the course outline, the homework comprises 15% of your grade, the grading criteria from this semester. Okay, thank you so much for your participation today. I'll see you next session. Thank you.
Demikian video pernyataan diri dosen dalam Unjuk Kerja Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi atau PDD-UKTPT atas nama Deatri Arumsari Agung dari Fakultas Bisnis Universitas Katolik Widya Mandala Surabaya. Terima kasih.